This is something different, but let's go ahead and get this show on the road. So, guys, this is kind of a Lotus vlog, if you will. This old guy's staring at my car, as they always do. I think I'm wearing a chest mount, but it's more like a neck mount, to be honest. I have it really, really high. I'm trying to make it a little higher. And I realized after I got in the car, Amber had pointed out that the chest mount's a little small for, or is a little low for the Lotus because the steering wheel sits so high due to you sitting so low in the car. I actually got this idea from someone on Instagram. They were like, you know, you should do a car vlog or something because, you know, the angle looks really cool. And I looked at it and I was like, yeah, it's actually a pretty good idea. So that's what we're gonna rock out today. Like a little crooked, but I gotta get a head mount. I have a head mount, but I was just like, you know what, I don't want to wear a head mount. In today's videos, I'm actually gonna talk about the top 5 things I dislike about my Lotus, because there is definitely a lot of things to not like about this car. However, on the contrary, there's a lot of things to love about this car. Just giving you guys a little ride along here. I love this car, to be blunt with you. To be kind of at head level so you guys kind of see what I can see, because I don't want you just staring at like my dash and my radio and my steering wheel the whole time. I kind of want you to be able to see over the steering wheel. And this is actually one of the things I can't stand about the car. These stupid freaking sun visors. I could pull them out and it would make it a little easier to see, but then you have these gaudy bars that are just hanging there, and I just chose not to do that because it looks stupid. It looks like you're missing something because, well, you are. However, on my list, that is not on it because it's not that big of an issue. But number 5 on my list is, okay, not that, but that is just like a lot of fun. Number 5 on my list is actually a complaint you would only know if you own a Lotus, and that is the doors. The doors are giant. They're like colossal, and you know, they're not just doors you swing out and you're able to get out easily. It's already hard enough to get out of this car, so the huge doors, they swing out like a wingspan, like twice the width of the car. And there's not a lot of like locking when you open it, so like it doesn't stay in one spot. It's really hard. So getting out of the car not only is hard enough, but making sure your door doesn't swing into someone's damn right into someone's car is a major thing. Like I said, that's huge, because you know the car is really small width-wise, but a lot of people like it should be really easy to get out with the doors and stuff. But actually opening the doors in this car is quite scary because they are so big, and it's so easy to hit another car. And I haven't yet, and hopefully I never do, but it is very, very easy. If you guys are wondering, this is a 2006 Elise. 2006 Lotus Elise, that is the exact model of mine. It is turboed. Its stock is about 190 wheel horsepower. And it also weighs about 1,900 pounds stock. However, mine weighs a little less than 1,900 pounds due to all the stuff I've cut off of it and taken off of it. However, I have added things to it which have helped it not really lose any weight. This is turboed by Monkey Wrench Racing, and I'm sitting at 330 wheel horsepower. So the car definitely up and goes. About equivalent to about a 600 horsepower Mustang. They're about the same there. So if this angle does suck, guys, I promise I will do whatever I can on the next video of this to kind of fix it and make it so where it doesn't suck. So number 4 on this list, getting in and out of this car is a workout. Luckily, I am about 175 pounds. I'm 5'10", so I'm a slimmer build, but I'm not like skinny. I'm a decent build. I'm an average human, I guess you could say. Getting out of this car for me is really nothing. However, you do have to contort your body a little bit just to kind of wiggle out. And when I say wiggle, I mean you literally have to wiggle yourself out of this car. I know it's not good, but I use the steering wheel actually to get out. It helps me out a lot. Passenger, not so much. You're kind of screwed if you're on the passenger side because you don't want to grab the dash or any other important parts on the interior. So if you're on the passenger side, getting out of the car, you're essentially throwing yourself out. And when I mean throwing, I mean literally taking your body and putting it on this sill here and just rolling out of the car. If you ask any Elise or Exige owner, they will tell you that the number one thing you learn when you have this car is simply knowing how to barrel roll out of your car. Yeah, showing up for an event and stuff like that, like if you're going somewhere and there's a bunch of people outside, you might want to have had practiced how to get out of the car before then. If you don't know how to get out of this car and you're getting out of it in front of a bunch of people or even just a small crowd, you're really going to embarrass yourself. Number 3 on my list is a pretty widespread one, but I'm gonna kind of put it on 2 different things. The mirrors and the freaking construction of this car. I know I have a lot of English and British followers, and if you guys don't know anything about Lotus, Lotus makes, it's made in England, in the UK. I'm not sure what it is with you English people and epoxy, but it seems like every single part of this car is made and combined and put together with epoxy. The dash parts, there's epoxy everywhere. It's like, I don't understand what the crazy use of epoxy was with this car, and it's very evident that it's a main component to this car. So when you're pulling stuff apart, it's really hard to pull things out without knowing that you're gonna like break it, because it feels like there's extra clamps or something there when there really isn't. The thing is the mirrors. Now I have race view mirrors, so I got rid of my stock mirrors awful quickly when I bought this car, but I have race view mirrors, so they're not bad, they're adjustable, they're easy. However, if you have the stock mirrors, I really feel bad for you. The stock mirrors on this car are big, they're gaudy, they're ugly, they're horrible. Adjusting them is a nightmare. And like I said, they just look like big flagships coming off the car. I just can't stand Lotus mirrors even a little bit. They're just all around huge, gaudy, and just I guess, usable. I don't know. I don't like them at all.
I don't start. God damn it. There we go.
Not really in my top 5, but one of the funniest things you get with this car is the attention. You know, this Lotus Elise, it is technically known as like a entry-level exotic, so a lot of people don't see that. You don't see these cars in the States at all, unlike you see them in like the UK. So the looks you get with this car are pretty funny, and also if you're ever in a rush anywhere, don't take this car, because if you have to get gas or anything, you're not going to leave the gas station without having a conversation with someone. It's very rare to be able to go somewhere and not have to strike a conversation with a stranger about the car. Number 2 on my list is probably something you're kind of surprised about. That, well, surprised me when I first had to change them out. Horrible, awful design of the headlights. Didn't know, on most cars, to change out your headlight bulb or your headlight, open the hood. You open the hood and you unlatch a couple things, and you need to move your headlight out. You take your headlight out and you do it that way. The Lotus, we have clams, so that I don't have bumpers. They're just 2 big pieces on the back, essentially. In order to change my light bulb, so if you're driving and your little light bulb thing about that big goes out, it's like you need your headlight and it goes out, you can't just stop it at Advanced Auto Parts and grab a bulb and throw it in. You actually have to remove the entire wheel. And on top of removing the entire wheel and tire, you also have to take out the wheel liner. And after you take out the wheel liner, you have to undo the little clear shell on top of the clam, remove that, and then you have to wiggle around behind the little projector to get the bulb out. And then removing the bulb still isn't that easy. Like, just getting the bulb out alone is really hard because it's a really small space. Very unpractical. So if you have a headlight out, you got to be home with your jack or something to where you could jack that side of the car up, or just have a jack in general. And in a Lotus, you're not going to be carrying a jack around because a jack weighs about as heavy as half the car. And this little blue Datsun 300. All right, so to leave it off on number 1. Now, this isn't something that technically, you know, affects the driving. And if you guys do notice something, I'm not talking about the driving whatsoever. The car is known for its handling and its ride. I absolutely love this car. I feel like literally you're in a go-kart, if not more handling than a go-kart. So it's one thing you're not going to hear about Lotus owners, or at least Exige, is the handle and the ride. That is what these cars are known for. So as far as any of that goes, like, everything is going to be pitch perfect with that, and that's why all the stuff kind of in my top 5 are just things that I don't even, you know, that aren't completely relevant, but there are still things you have to take into factor when you're getting a car. All right, so finally at number 1, it has to go to the disgusting, awful, horribly designed interior of the car. I understand. I know the Lotus is not a designer's car. It's not a luxury car. It's nothing like that. And if you buy one, you understand that. However, I mean, the interior looks like it was designed by a 10-year-old with a bunch of plastic blocks. I mean, it's pretty awful. I mean, I could probably design something better in about 10 minutes with just a pencil and a piece of paper. The design is really, really awful. Now, not to only mention there's no cup holders, but you buy it at least, you don't buy a Lotus to like be luxurious with. However, I still feel like, you know, although I know Lotus had to cut corners to, you know, substitute other places, I feel like they cut a little too much out of the interior. It kind of, you could have done a little more. Now, all my stuff is flocked, so it's like a suede, so it looks nice. And I got a really nice head unit radio that has a backup camera on that screen. However, the really old tachometer and like I said, all of these parts, without them being wrapped or vinyl wrapped or flocked or something, like, they just look so cheap and just don't look good whatsoever. And I mean, they do look to the standards of, like I said, like a 10-year-old. And although the car is a 2006, I get it, it is old, but I mean, even 2006 regular cars that are cheaper than this have a better interior. I feel like they really dropped the ball on that. As far as everything else goes down, I feel like dash down, everything is fine. The HVAC controls are okay. I mean, I'm not crazy about the HVAC controls. The little knobs fall off way too easily, which is really weird, but that's not stock on a Lotus. That's actually for my my boost and my oil pressure. Oil pressure thing got unhooked, so that's why it's not recording anything. I love this car, guys. I honestly will be keeping this lease probably for my entire life. Now, I know a lot of people say that and then, you know, they end up selling them, but I love this car. I've put a lot of money into this car. I'm not done with it. I want to hit around 500 horsepower at the end after I build up the engine and everything. But for the most part, this car does have its flaws and flaws that you have to kind of understand before buying a car like this. These cars are affordable. A lot of people see this and think I'm driving some freaking McLaren or some crazy $300,000 car, and it really isn't, and that's the cool thing about it. However, if you have a stock Lotus, and no offense to you stock guys out there, but don't buy this car thinking it's fast. Sure, this car has got a little up and go here and there, but it's not at 190 horsepower. Even at 1,900 pounds, it really isn't that fast. I mean, if you're buying this car to go fast, you honestly have bought the wrong car. But if you have a turbo, then, well, you have that problem solved. Leaving school, so I'm going to continue this vlog here again. If your guys' view is kind of shitty, I do apologize. I've been trying to hold it up as close to my head as I can, but I don't know. I just feel like making this video, I guess, because I've had the Lotus for a while, so I guess I feel kind of obligated to make this video, because the Lotus just really isn't a popular brand. So kind of letting people know my experience with the Lotus is really what I tend to do. And honestly, having this car has kind of made me like a Lotus person for life. So I mean, I really enjoy this car. I enjoy the culture of it. I enjoy the family that follows this car and everything like that. Yes, I like this car. It's a very, very good car. Sorry, I'm a little hyper. I'm excited. I'm going home. It is Wednesday. The one bad thing about the Lotus community, though, if I have to, since I was talking about the community, negative side is definitely the purist side of the Lotus community. Now, I'll probably offend a lot of people saying this, but there's a very large part of the Lotus community that's a bunch of old guys, a bunch of old men, probably in their 50s, 60s, 70s probably as well. And they are not about modifying the car. So there's a lot of toxicity, I guess is the word I'm looking for, among the Lotus culture, which I guess there is in any culture of car, just kind of how it is. But with Lotus, I've found that it's very more there and very more divided. You have a group of people that really enjoy making the car theirs, and then you have a group of people that are extremely anti doing anything with the car, so they're really toxic and just not fun to talk to and not fun to be around. Explain it. It's its own style, and it's its own brand, and it brings a lot of people that have Lotuses together. So I really don't know how to explain kind of the family feeling having a Lotus does, but with the family, you have toxic family members, and in my experience thus far, anybody that is older and is so-called a purist, they're really toxic. You can be a Lotus person and be older and not be toxic. Just because you don't like someone's modifications doesn't mean you have to necessarily, you know, bash them or just be absolutely toxic. And unfortunately in the Lotus community, there's not a lot of older people that own one that aren't toxic. I really haven't ran into a bunch. I'd say one for every 100 maybe, and that's a lot in the Lotus community. But that's just another thing you have to get over. Bump! Yo! You gotta love it. Unpaved roads. Also, West Virginia probably isn't the greatest place to live if you have a Lotus. The roads just kind of, aren't really the best. Well, I have officially sold my truck. So those that were wondered, I do appreciate it. But the truck is officially sold. Big shout out to my buddy James. James is the one that got it. So James, I hope you take care of her, and I look forward to seeing her in the future. Well, guys, I'm going to call that a video. I'm going to pick up Amber, and then we got some errands to run. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. Seriously, I do really appreciate it. I know this isn't a thing we do all the time. This is actually kind of a first, especially with the chest mount. However, if the mount is not good, which I'll know as soon as I'm start editing, if the view is that bad, just trust with me and hang with me that we are going to be working on that. I'll probably do a head mount or something a little bit higher, because I know this is kind of sitting low and it's a pain in the ass to do this. Like this video, I guess I'll see how you guys liked it based on the likes and the comments. Let me know what you guys thought about this video. This was just kind of quickly put together. I'd like to go on, some Mexican highways and stuff like that and kind of get on it and show you guys it, especially when summer comes up, and do a whole bunch of, things that happen with this car and what I do and how I drive it, and hear the turbo a little better. That has been this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed my little Lotus review thing, or whatever you want to call it. I'll see you guys on FanMail Friday.